Gallipoli is a word that when spoken in Australia and New Zealand is instantly recognizable. That campaign forever cemented the famed Australian-New Zealand Army Corps and is celebrated every 25th of April, the day the Anzacs landed on the shores of the Wrong Beach, soon to be christened Anzac Cove. The men that died, fought, and entrenched on that peninsula were raised predominantly in both Australia and New Zealand. But being part of the British Empire, various peoples of these two young nations were living their mundane lives around the globe in 1914. The following video will look at various Anzacs that were involved in the East African campaign. This won't be an exhaustive list of every Aussie and Kiwi, but rather those that immediately come to mind. First, we'll start with the Dominion with the oldest national anthem. New Zealand is often cited as an early trailblazer of women's suffrage, and one Kiwi woman did her duty in high office. The wife of German East Africa's governor, Schnee, Ada Adeline Woodhill, Ada Schnee or Frau Schnee, immediately put to organizing funds and attention to the Red Cross aid to the troops in the field. She carried this out best as she could throughout the war, and it was not only a marital duty as the First Lady of the colony, but she saw it as part of the German establishment's obligation to bring order to the native population, quoting that British colonial rule was too passive. In Kenya, various men from Anzac extraction came to volunteer to serve. Many would go back to their farms and vocations due to Governor Belfield's whatever attitude to the World War. But various Australian and New Zealand citizens would serve in the various units that sprung up in British East Africa. Not just the humans from Australia, but Australia contributed to British East Africa's defense with war horses as well. The Waller horse was seen as a stout horse, able to deal with the sun and dryness of Australia and British East Africa, respectively, while also being a fast racehorse. As the conflict carried on, these horses became less and less numerous and were replaced with standard mules. Of the units that volunteered for service, most famously is the 7th South African Infantry, initially raised in the Transvaal with 4 companies of men. A company came from the men of the Rand Line Infantry and Transvaal Scottish Army units. B Company came from the various Sportsman Company. C Company came from the men of the Witwatersrand Rifles Army unit, while D Company, Colonel Thompson writes, was the Anzac Company, with a number of Australians and New Zealanders, residents of the Transvaal, and a handful of ex-convicts on parole, who proved to be good soldiers and companions. I will go over their unit history in a more detailed video, and they will be mentioned multiple times in my 1916 campaign videos. Suffice it to say, the unit would be crucial to defeating Warburg's defenses and the breakthrough into German East Africa. Some Anzacs living in London signed up for the Royal Fusiliers and served in East Africa, Lieutenant Dartnell among them. He had been born in Collingwood, Australia, but was an actor in East London on the outbreak of war. Lieutenant Dartnell was posthumously issued the VC for his service in East Africa. He will also get his own video at a later date. Another famous Aussie that served in East Africa was Charles Joseph Ross. While officially he was part of the East African Mounted Rifles, he never actually served with that unit. If you'd like to find out why, here's a short video on his life and his unit in the First World War below. If you've not seen it, pull that play button, then reload and pull that subscribe button for more African history. New videos every Monday.